You know, there's been a lot of iconic video parts throughout all of your movies. You know, you got like Huffman and Gigi and Whitlake. I even love the Zach Leach like skateboard part. You got obviously Jeff Anderson, Happy Hour, MFM. There's so many iconic parts. But if you were to pick your top 5 favorite video parts that you filmed over your career,
I mean, I think the one that stands out, and a lot of it is because how it helped me, would be Ingmar Bachmann from Substance. Because, you know, that's just real early in the days. This is like, you know, I did Sexual Chocolate in 94. Back then I did 2 movies a year. And that had a little bit of steam, even though it was a small movie. But the right people liked it kind of, you know. And Mike Ternasky, who was running Plan B at the time, was doing Type A. And back then, you know, skating and snowboarding was very kind of interlinked a lot more, like Pacific Drive and all that, and Nate and, you know, that whole world. And I met Ingmar that summer in Switzerland at this snowboarding camp in Verbier, and he just blew us away, like just in these few hits, and he had a little part. And then so the next year they're like, oh, Ingmar wants to come out to Utah. And I was still living in Colorado, and we went out there, and I was with J2 again. And I forgot who else was with us, but I hung out with him for like a month, maybe not even that, first time in the States, and he was just murdering it, you know, and it's kind of like what you're saying. He's from like a place, Sweden, small hits, but just instantly took that little things on everything that was big for the time and stomping it. And a lot of people, Scandinavian riders, can't translate the powder right away because they're so used to landing flat-footed and stomping, which of course will just tumble you over the bars. But Ingmar somehow just did it. Boom. I remember we got Jackson with like 2 feet of powder, just stomp, like first hit. We're just like, what the fuck? And then we did one little thing, and we went down to Big Bear or Summit, and that was it. And we put his part out from shooting for a month and a half in February. And that part still stands up today. Like, it's crazy for the time and how short where people shoot all year to shoot it, and he did it in like the equivalent of like 20 days of filming. And so when that came out, it was just like everybody's like, fuck, dude, that's a game changer. And I mean, I still look at that thing, and it's like, it's not touching with his hands even, which there was a lot of dragging back then. So that's got to be up there. And, you know, the song and everything is pretty big. And then the other big parts, I think it's like, I don't know, like, maybe JP in Warriors. And I also like that because a lot of this is like, it's so fun to bring riders that people don't know. You know, it's like Peter Line, after he was killing it, having his part, everyone's anticipating it, but it's not surprised. You're expecting him to have a good part, you know? It's like Jamie Lynn after Toy Machine. You're expecting him to have a good part.
Jamie
Thomas.
Yep.
Sorry, Jamie Thomas after Toy Machine. So you want to see it, but you're not surprised. So, but someone like Ingmar, most people didn't know who the fuck he was, you know? And same with JP. Most people didn't know who JP was unless you lived in Brighton at that year. And so we were like, whoa, who's this? You know? And like Whitlake in Revival, same thing. No one knew who he was. It's awesome. And I love Whitlake. And then Gigi, same thing, Destroyer, Rookie of the Year. You know, and I think a lot of it has to do with like, you know, the association with those guys and stuff. And I think you said 5, but I might go 6. But LeBlanc, you know, his brainstorm part is so big. I mean, it's massive. But I mean, I like all LeBlanc's kind of stuff because he's just so, you know, he's just his little whatever, pocket Hercules. He's just like stomps shit.
Hercules. What a great description.
Wow.
Holy
you know, like he's
Mike.
He's just always one of those dudes, just like in the Warriors, even like where he's just would be like, gah! You know, just like land and barely bend his knees and just keep going. Like his part in the Kingpin Chronicles and stuff was great, and all of his little things, you know. But yeah, I'd say Brainstorm, and then Mark Frank probably in Back in Black is another big one because we did that fun sketch, but he backed it up tenfold with his writing, you know.
Stomping around in the puddles.
Yeah. That was like a fun build. We just did that in Portland. But it was, but I think those are probably some of my favorite parts, you know. But, you know, like I say, a lot of the parts are kind of just association with that year and stuff because it is like, it's such a friendship, you know, it's like remembering your memories, It's not like, oh, that was snowboarding. It's like, that's what I did that whole year. Because I hung out with those people outside of the mountain, you know, we'd hang out all summer, you know, so it's just like, oh, that was the year I got to hang out with these people all year.
Well, speaking of the summers, I felt like, you know, from the little that we had done together, everybody looked forward to the summer, to the skits.
Yeah.
Like that was like the reward to filming your part.
Yeah.
And it seemed like that was like, I mean, beyond legendary as far as the crew goes, that was the reward. You know, make it through the year, film a dope part, and then you're going to film a skit.
Yeah. It's just like, and, you know, especially when we moved, like when we moved to Portland, it was just worked really well because Portland was cheap and you could get houses for cheap. So people would come out and there's a lot more resources. And it was like, you know, they could also go up to Hood in the summer if they, you know, so it just really worked out well, you know, so riders they get to do the sketch, but then they also go up to the Hood and do that kind of thing. And then, you know, go tubing and so forth and then do something silly shit and, you know, going out to bars and stuff because we're all young then and it was fun.
You know? What year did you get on Kingpin Production, Shane?
It was the brainstorm year.
That was the first one. I thought you might have done something on Destroyer. I can't remember.
Well, I had helped out before that.
Yeah.
But I think it was part of just the union of us all hanging together.
Yeah, I mean, because I met you even in the 90s in Vail when you came out from Vermont snowboarding.
And then when I started coming to Salt Lake, it's a funny memory. I remember we were in the foothills when it used to snow like 4 feet.
Yeah.
And you guys were up there, you and Andy.
Yeah.
And I remember we were all like hitting some jump at night above the city. And you and Andy were like, oh, if you guys ever want to link up, let's link up. And I just always remember, like, because now it doesn't snow that much up in the foothills.
Yeah, not as much.
But it was like, that was the jam. Everyone was up there all night just doing weird stuff above Salt Lake City.
Because you hit that one hit from the revival with Ali from the cover, too, because I got that photo of you.
Yeah.
So you were definitely all around then.
But officially, it was the brainstorm year.
Yeah.
Because I remember, because before that, you know, I wasn't even thinking much about filming. And then the, you know, 401 snow happened, overlapping with the Destroyer year.
Yeah.
And then one time you were like, what about if you just like, instead of telling everyone about yourself, you help other people? And I remember at the time being like, damn, I wish someone would have said that a long time ago. But then you were like, come over, we'll have a beer and I'll show you how to load film. And I think the next day we were filming Mikey and Twos.
Yeah.
Like on some crazy kink rails.
Yeah, yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, when we did, Shane, when we did the Mark Frank thing, we shot that. You came out and helped me with that.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.